Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Founders Grid, sponsored by Paper.io. Today we have Chuck. Chuck is the founder of Republic.co. Chuck, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on, Mustafa. I can start with a little bit of background on myself.
Yeah, please.
I've been in New York City for about 21 years now. Started out with a classic, Wall Street experience. Ended up in hedge funds. Went to grad school. Got into business for myself, but in real estate. Wanted to get back into more mainstream investments, but I had also started dabbling in angel investing probably around 2000. It was 2005, and the real estate thing was in about 2012, 13. And to get back into it, I started a very small micro VC fund. It was a friends and family raise, similar to what startups are, up against when they're raising the first dollars. And it was really a way for me to network. And I deployed, not even like $100,000, but it got me to new places. It got me into, mentorships, or I was a judge, or I was, being asked to talk at things, and so on and so forth. While I was continuing that real estate business, one of the people that I ended up running into was a guy named Ken Nguyen. He was general counsel at AngelList. They were forming Republic, the company I'm with now, and I actually invested in Republic at that time after learning a lot about it and what the actual plan was. So that was in early 2016. And in May of 2016, Republic launched. And part of my investment agreement was that I would come on and help, what I had previously done for the other startups that I invested in. I would fill a void for a period of a couple months to even, a year or more. Because it wasn't just, giving a check to someone, it's also participating and helping them out, because resources are thin and they need all the help they can get. In Republic's case, they had more resources than most, but it was a similar strategy. And went in, like I said, May of 2016 is when regulation crowdfunding, part of the 2012 Jobs Act, became effective. That law, that license, is what Republic launched with, and it lets companies raise capital from anyone in the world, regardless of their wealth. So there's no accreditation blocker to getting investors. And everyday people can put in $10, they can put in $100, they could also put in 100,000 if they wanted. I really grabbed onto the idea that this was going to democratize fundraising, democratize investing. It was a way to change the startup ecosystem, the landscape, etc., to a place where every founder had a chance. And to have a chance, you need to do a lot of things, but part of it is also having capital. And capital at that time, 2016 and prior to, was primarily going to people who look like myself, white males. And we're going to truly democratize, crowdfunding. We're truly democratize fundraising through the crowd. We wanted to have a high emphasis on underserved founders. And we talked that talk back then. We since walked the walk. To date, 40% of the funds that we've helped raise on Republic have gone to minority-founded or female-founded companies. So that was really one of the most attractive features to me at the time. I also saw it for being a lot of other things too, that we would grow into, and we have since. So that's kind of where I started and how I got to Republic. I'll say one last thing about Republic. There's thousands to say. 4 years ago, we were 5 people. We had 4 live campaigns, 25,000 registered users, $75,000 average raise. Fast forward to today, we have 50 live campaigns, over 700,000 size for the last year of close to 500,000. And we have, north of 60 employees on the team.
Nice.
So
Amazing, can keep on the amazing work. So going forward, unfortunate times because of COVID, and the market is disrupting and the whole thought process is changing. We're getting to hear stories from the Bay Area that VCs are rethinking their investment thesis, right? And investors are telling the startups to increase your runways to 24 months or 36 months, restructure yourself around. So, and COVID has acted as a catalyst for some industries. So how is it affecting your platform for the
Sure.
good work?
So we were a little worried too in early March. So on our side in New York, where we both are currently, 99% of offices shut down the week of March 15th. I believe that was a Monday. And that same that same week, there was a massive volatility in publicly traded markets, and there's a lot of bleeding. And we saw a dramatic decrease in investments on our site. We saw a dramatic decrease in engagement from founders and even new applications. That week was not looking good. The second week of quarantine, numbers came up a little bit, but the promising things I saw were people making comments when they make investments. That's something that investors on Republic's platform are allowed to do. They invest $100 and they can say why they did it. And those comments were really making a lot of sense. There was a lot of just kind of a screw this mentality. I'm here to support my $100. I know it's not much, but it's going to help. I think this company should succeed. And when you get 200 people doing that, the dollars start to make sense and they can actually help a company succeed. Now, we were only back to say 70% of volume at that point, the second week. But come the third week and every week since, we've actually been well over 100% of average volume on our platform every week since that second week of quarantine. We've had March was a good month. It was on average because we were halfway through, and then we had that horrible week. Second week was, which was the fourth week of March, wasn't great, but it was still a pretty good month overall, not down much. And then April and May, April was our best month in history, and then May was our best month in history, and June will be our best month in history already. What we saw too was founders are coming up out of the woodworks in force. They were coming up from 6 months prior, from 18 months prior, from when I started with the company 4 years prior. They had played the VC game, and they always would play the VC game. But it took something like this to actually get them over the hurdle to finally say, and a lot of that comes with the success of Republic, all the campaigns we've had prior to this, over 200 now, and other platforms doing well, and people kind of pointing fingers and being like, I can do that too. But with COVID, VCs they changed their thesis. They pulled back money. They stopped investing. They had commitments made verbally, but they actually didn't fund. So there was some panic with people who had completely legitimate, awesome, viable investment opportunity, companies that they were founders of and running, who had 6 or 12 or 18 months, and they were trying to get to that 24-month of runway situation. They would do it through the crowd. So we also saw I would say, a dramatic increase in quality of companies applying. We created actually for the last couple of months a different type of competition within Republic, within our pipeline, where we weren't taking, we're very selective. We get thousands of applications per year, and we really take less than 1% that we'll actually move forward with. And but now we have 50, 100, 70, 200 more really high quality companies. We can't have 200-300 companies live at one time.
Exactly.
So there's competition for the spot, for the space on our site now too, which has been really interesting and awesome too. And it's caused us to think about the way that we present things and how we grow, and that will actually be a factor for 2021. There's a lag effect. People apply, it takes a few weeks to get educated. They have to onboard. They have to get their other parties involved, so it doesn't happen overnight, from application to launch. But so with that lag effect and too, I see this going into 2021, where not only will they have 50 live campaigns per at any given time, give or take, that we've started to bring in domain expertise in the things that we're offering. We recently acquired Fig, a video game investment platform. We've also going to announce a real estate investment platform literally tomorrow. And then we'll do healthcare, we'll do Main Street, we'll do these things that will create its own, because investors,
So
they
you
want to
wanna
have expertise. Yeah.
so do you want to take the name of the platform? We'll release a podcast after that, but it would be cool that on 9th of June, you know, we had the first news. So
Oh, so this will go live in June. I'm sorry.
no, it will go live after tomorrow. The
Yeah,
podcast.
it goes live tomorrow. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't want to give the name just yet, just in case. But
Ah, okay.
it's been a
So,
long time coming. It's been something that we've worked on for months and months. Like the
okay.
Fig real estate deal took 9 months to complete.
Yeah.
So these are things we've been thinking about a long time, but they're coming together at a really interesting time that people are really wanting this. And I'll say one more thing about investors. A lot of them hated that first and second, those 2 weeks in March
Yeah.
15th to say the end of March.
No,
Um,
everything was slowed down. Everyone just wanted to be, there was a panic. Everyone wanted to be just maybe with family or I don't know.
well,
Yeah.
but on their like in their business, yes, for sure. But on their business side and their investment side of their minds, they were sick of the public markets and being,
Yeah.
having that stuff just like constantly thrown in their face.
Yeah.
It may not be the best mentality, but I did see comments, and we have seen comments since and had discussions since with investors who are like, you know what, I understand private is risky, but so is public. I think it helped people understand that public investing is also risky. Now they know
Yeah.
in private you're going to lose something like 80 to 85% of the investments you make in full. It depends on who you talk to. That can range from say 70 to even 95%, but call it 80,
Mhm.
85. And they get that. These are the crowd is smart. Another thing I got to say about them too. $20, 20,000, $100,000 investment. They all want a return on investment. They're very
Yeah.
wise. Um, yeah, you get some people at the other ends of the spectrum, but the vast majority of investors are, uh, you know, intelligent investors, and they like the idea of making an investment. And yeah, they'll track it and they'll get updates from the founder. They'll get updates from us. But the idea that it's slower in a weird way, it's slower, especially on the valuation side of it. And ultimately, at the end of it, you're hoping for the same result, that it's at the time of exit, you're going to have a return.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's more
Mhm.
liquidity in the public markets and whatnot, but a lot of people buy and hold, and they wait and they wait and they wait and they wait. So like they're looking for a
Yeah.
10x and they're waiting for it. It's a 10x or bust thing, right?
Yeah.
So here's the same thing at the end of the day, and they're
Mm,
warming up to that. I'd say is why we see more investors.
yeah. So, which brings me to my next question, Chuck. Uh, uh, Going forward, post-COVID world, what advice would you give to startup founders, when it
Yep.
comes down to raising, what trends are you seeing or is it the same old, or do you see the funding still being there? So what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I mean, be nimble, be flexible. Understand that there is no one way of raising capital. That's something I've been pounding the pavement on and educating people on for years now, even before Republic. You can't just stick to the crunch bases and TechCrunch articles of the world and say like, oh, that company raised $20 million. You know how much work went into raising that $20 million, and how many things how many rocks they had to like lift up and look under
Yeah,
before that happened.
yeah,
um, be you know be nimble, juggle multiple balls at one time. You can't just like put all of your eggs in one basket. And what that means for Republican crowdfunding in general is that it should be a part of everyone's tool in their toolkit. It should be a part of their like daily or a part of their capital raise strategy. Not everyone is going to get friends and family. Not everyone's going to get angel. Not everyone's going to get institutional or go to an accelerator. You can have 1, 2 of those, 3 of those. Heck, you can even have 4 of them and still like do a crowdfunding campaign, because it's a valuable component of growing your business. Yes, you're going to raise capital, but it's also a valuable component of growing your business, so you're able to get further validation, you get feedback, you get new clients. It's a marketing tool. And I think the startup uh, ecosystem is learning that crowd investing is that answer for them. Um, various reasons why they're pushed into it over the last 3 months, but in fast forward a year, 2, 3 years from now, it's going to be, I believe, understood more that it's just it's a common part of the process for being a startup.
Interesting. Last question, Chuck. Remote work. we've been seeing and hearing about it for the last few years, right? And it has been on the rise. But because of COVID, everyone is seeing it being rising much further. So how is a company like Republic able to manage everything remotely in a better and efficient way? And what advice would you give to others of being a CEO or partner at Republic, how to create creativity out of it? I understand the coding can be done, but how to make it all work remote?
So how can we, with the new reality, create creativity within the team? Is that the question?
Yeah, the productivity, creativity, taking care of the mental health, all those coffee chit chat, the office chit chat, the politics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I
so
mean, it's tough. I mean, a lot of us, rightfully so, want to get back in the office and have that, that human component back to
yeah,
our day-to-day work. A
yeah,
lot of us, and rightfully so, would like to wait, and they'd like to wait a long time.
got
We've we're fortunate that Republic was nearly. I mean, we have an office that holds 40 people in Manhattan in Midtown.
okay,
But normally only 20 or 25 people would come on a daily basis because we were so flexible with work at home, and we were so flexible at working remote. And there's
yeah,
a few of us who would travel a lot. So we were very capable of doing it digitally before COVID anyway. But we've since tried to do, weekly gatherings in large
yeah,
groups and in small groups. So I guess 2 a week, where we'll have a small group gathering. It could just be based on team. It could be based on likes and preferences. We do have a pretty good understanding of everyone on the team and what they're up to. So we try to group them that way, and it just gets people talking. It gets people off of the work routine. So it's important to have, for health especially, to get, you can't just constantly have meetings about work, about work, about work. That's the
yeah,
only thing that you see, you know Peter, Paul, and Mary for every day. You have to have a real connection with them outside of work, because you normally would, and now we're not, because as soon as the conversation is over, the screen is off or the Zoom is off, where you would normally continue a conversation after a meeting in the office or
yeah,
at the desk or whatever, and you would have that moment of like personal touch.
yeah,
So we're trying to bring that back through in various digital ways. There's also, it helps to talk about, you know, what we'll do that'll be fun once this is, subsided, once it's more common and, natural for people to hang out in the same place like they did before. Don't know if that's going to be in 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years, but it's helpful to plan in advance and talk about, like, hey, we're going to have a party. Hey, we're going to have an offsite for the entire company, or hey, we're going to have like group offsites where we'll
yeah.
get some quality time together. So those are kind of the things that we're doing right now at Republic.
Uh, Chuck, thank you so much for taking the time out. Stay safe and all the best with Republic.
Thank you, Mustafa. You have a great one, okay?